Hello, everyone. This is Rick from Time Capsule Toys, and this is the When We Were Kids podcast. And reminder, as always, Toy Hall returns October 12th. Tickets are not on sale yet. They will be soon. I am slacking. First guest is Wardlow from AEW. And also always make sure to check out Time Capsule Toys located in Niles, Ohio. And our first actual guest that was not me is Tony Capo from Robot Zero Comics. Is it comics and toys or just comics?
Just short comics is good.
Okay.
And big reveal. Pronounce it Capo. That's okay. That's all right.
I was gonna actually ask that before we started recording.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, but I didn't because I'm an idiot. So Tony Capo.
Capo, yeah.
So you run Robot Zero Comics that is based out of Geneva.
Yep. Yeah. We've been there 9 years.
Okay, that was going to be my next
I'm sorry.
question.
Shut up.
No, you're fine. You've been there for 9 years. So my main question I have for you, not even main, because there's going to be many questions.
Good.
I thought about this on the way down here.
What's that?
How'd you come up with the name of your shop?
I love robots and I love Transformers. I know I didn't hardcore collect Transformers, but Transformers stuck with me most of my life. I just love robots in general. Just love technology and stuff like that. So that's where it came from. Robot Zero being the first Robot Zero. Because I'm a nerd and ones and zeros and yeah. You start with
like
zero.
Like the Clutch song that goes like 0011.
No, right there you go. Right. Yeah.
That's a reference that like 4 people will get. So you've been there for what you said, 9 years?
9 years, yeah. In October will be 9 years.
Oh, you have a big sale?
Mm-hmm. I usually do one towards the end of the year. Right. Oh, right. Yeah. I got to get on it. Yeah. I'm good for like day before. Hey, sale.
I got you. That's funny. So you deal with comics, you deal with toys, been there for 9 years. Obviously, I'm guessing comics is your main.
Yeah. That's what we do the most. Yeah. Comics is our big deal.
I gotcha. Yeah. Like our shop, for example, we'll buy comics.
Oh, sure.
But usually it's never.
Nothing big comes through.
It's just like, hey, I have this Donald Duck that half the cover's missing.
That's usually what I get a lot of too. Yeah.
I know a lot of shops get a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure you get it too with toys. It's like, you wait for that big thing to come in, but it's usually a bunch of like, oh, no thanks, or, no covers, or beat to hell, or whatever,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Today we just had a guy who goes, oh, I have red lines. He came in. I'm like, these are like from 2014. These aren't red lines.
They're red lines, though.
I go, oh, but they're red lines. I'm like, they're $3 red lines. They're not the red lines we were hoping for, which is, as you said, always the case in that.
Right.
So what made you personally want to start your comic book shop?
Oh, man, that's a long story, Rick. I
think we got time.
Okay, good. Good. I grew up working in my family's restaurant. I did a little bit of school and stuff like after high school. And, my idea was like, okay, I'm going to end up buying this from my parents or continuing on, this tradition of making pizza that's been going on since the 50s with my family. It never really came to happen. And I really just wanted to do something myself. And I started getting back into comics. I started visiting the shop I grew up going to. And it started snowballing from there. It's like, well, where I'm at, there's no comic shop an hour to the east and a half an hour to the west. So, well, Geneva might be a good place to put a comic shop. So that's how I ended up there.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I learned about opening up our shop. I learned it actually from Bobby from D&E.
Oh, no way.
He told me, I will never forget these words. He said, just put it where the rent is cheap. That's what he told me. And I always remembered it. And that's why our first shop was in Girard. It was like the size of this table.
That's right. Yeah.
But like the rent was cheap. And now we're at a place that's not cheap.
Oh, did it go up for you?
Oh, yeah. Because we moved next door and then we moved around the corner.
Okay.
And then now we are in Niles in a plaza with a parking lot. And
we drove by there the other day. I didn't realize where you were when we were going to Pastimes and we saw it.
Okay.
I was like, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. We're like, I don't know, 5 minutes, if that, by Pastimes. But yeah, that's the one thing I always remember that he told me was cheap.
Go cheap, yeah.
Because they went cheap and now they waited it out and now their whole area is like up and coming.
Is it?
Yeah. So like,
Oh, is it one of the gentrified neighborhoods are coming in?
yeah. And like, so now they got like restaurants and everything else moving in around them.
Oh,
They have like
nice.
2 awesome restaurants.
Oh,
Like
wow.
within like 5-minute drive. I know they have like a restaurant and bar across the street and stuff like that, but yeah, that area for them is like growing. So, and that was what I always hoped with Gerard. I was like, oh, we're gonna be the
Right. Yeah.
yeah, well,
Revitalization.
yeah. Well, that didn't happen. So we got we got out.
I'm kind of waiting for the same thing. Yeah. 9 years.
So you've been there for 9 years. Do you have any plans or hopes of moving, expanding?
We might be moving. I got a new landlord last year, and it's one of those relationships I'm just not quite sure of yet. So we might end up moving. We're in a smaller shop, but we're in a real small town too, so it kind of fits it. So that's
Yeah.
kind of up in the air. I did recently take over, like we were talking about, cheap, a lease, not a lease, but just rent. It's month to month of the store I originally went to as a kid. So I'm slowly trying to get stuff in there and maybe expand and have a little second location. Not far
Oh,
from
that's
my
awesome.
original.
Where's that located at?
It's in Madison, Ohio. It's the next county over from
Oh,
us in
okay.
Lake County. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's perfect because you're still within, and then that's the whole thing too is having a second location. You're allowing yourself, for a lot more people to find out about you that don't come to Geneva,
Right. Exactly.
and then a lot of people who are like, oh, this place just opened. They buy old stuff. Let me go there.
Right.
It works. It
Right.
works.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to get rid of this stuff. Let me take it here. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you never know. That's the whole thing with shops. People don't understand. You never know what's going to walk to the door.
No, you never
Like-
do. Yeah.
Which brings me to, like, we'll talk about like stuff that's coming to the door. For example, like what is probably, we'll do, this could be a double-headed question.
Okay.
So what is something like, say, for example, someone called you and was like, hey, I have insert item.
Okay.
I want to bring it in. They came and it was not completely what you expected and you were completely disappointed by.
Okay.
And then what was probably one of the craziest or best things to walk in your door?
Could it be a call where I went on call, or
That-
does
that
have to be-
works.
Okay. I'm going to start with the best because that's a little bit easier because I have to think about the worst one. The best one happened to us a year ago. The biggest collection we had bought, where it had an Amazing Spider-Man #1 in it. It had all these big giant key books in it, and that was the biggest thing. So the story goes like this: a gentleman named Bruce, a girl works at the store. She's there. He calls. Said, hey, do you guys buy comic books? We're like, yeah, absolutely. We buy comics. We don't buy everything that walks in, but we try to do what we can. He's like, great. I heard about you 7 years ago. I actually had met the girl that answered the phone at like a library thing. And she's like, oh, you want to sell your comics? Well, come, talk to us. So 7 years later, he calls and, yeah, I went to his house and he's shown me like he built this outbuilding at his house to house, like he was weighing the models too. So he had like tons of model kits and then just all these long boxes. And as I'm walking up the stairs, and I didn't expect this, he's like, there's an Amazing Spider-Man #1 in there, right? I was like, no, I didn't. No,
Like,
I didn't. have
dude,
the
I just got here.
premonition. Right. Yeah. I didn't read your mind. Yeah. I had no idea. I just knew you had like, 30 some long boxes. So he started digging through them. It's like, oh my God. So then I spent like the whole day there going through stuff to try and, come up with an offer to make him. The worst thing that ever came through, I'm glad I took a second. It was when we first opened. And like you said, people are like, I got to sell this guy, buy stuff. So obviously he's going to buy whatever I had. I got a bunch of two things. One guy brought in a bunch of like 1989 McDonald's Batman, like fry boxes, wrappers, cups. Like, I was like, oh, that's, yeah, sure. Whatever. And then this other guy, he was on something, just like a bunch of McDonald's toys. Just like, oh man, here's the Joker. This is the big one. Okay, sure. I think I gave him $10 just to leave, because there are other people in the store, and I'm like, please,
you can
just
leave
go.
and take the stuff
Right.
with you.
Yeah, right.
Now it's funny that you mentioned the Batman McDonald's stuff is because this before we had a shop, I had to do a house call, and they're like, "Oh, this guy went to our church and he died."
Oh no.
Oh, we've been cleaning out his house and he has a lot of stuff. And oh my God, this dude had no joke. He had never been used Batman Returns fry boxes, bags. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, he had so much of that. I'm like, and I'm just like staring at it, like, oh, what do you think with that? I go, I don't know. Because I'm like, I don't know anyone that needs 50 Batman Returns fry boxes.
You never know.
Because the guy also had like an ET collection. And I found out like,
oh, cool.
He worked at like JCPenney's. So he was buying all this stuff on clearance. And they clearanced it out. And he just filled boxes with it. So like he had that, which is probably like one of the hardest ET things to find is the ET finger.
Oh,
because,
did it glow and stuff?
Well, yeah, they had to pull it from store shelves.
Okay. Oh.
Because it didn't really look like a finger. It looked like, we'll say, a piece of the male genitalia. Right, so it got pulled from store shelves. Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck is this? I'm like, this thing looks like a penis. And I look them up. I go, these things are selling for like $50 a piece.
I was about to say, yeah, that's money. Yeah.
And they had like 4 or 5 of them. They had so much other stuff. That guy was like a hoarder. They said there was stuff in his rafters of his house.
Oh, wow.
It was just insanity. But yeah, people always think that like the stories that you just said about the guy who like thought he had gold with his McDonald's toys. We had my buddy Greg was in town. This is when we were at the old shop, and he was in town. This girl came in. I was like, I got all this old stuff. I got vintage Star Wars. And she pulls the stuff out. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, where did you get this? It looked like she pulled it out of a house. It was just like the black mold was like eating it.
Oh no.
She pulled out this Micro Machines Star Wars set. And she goes, vintage Star Wars. I go, yeah, those aren't vintage. I go, and I would not buy them. She goes, well, I could take them out of the package. I just go, I still don't want them. And I go, she goes, can you buy anything? I'm like, I'll give you buy it? I go, I'll give you $5 for an N64 controller. And I just did that to get her to leave. And my buddy Greg was like, the controller is broken. I go, I know, but I'm like, I was just trying to get her out the door.
Right, exactly.
Like, give her $5 for gas money to get her somewhere else. Right. That is hopefully not here right now.
Encourage him to come back. Like, yeah, I found this.
So, obviously with nostalgia, and that's what a big part of this show is about.
Oh man.
And so for you, when you're at your shop, you're at shows, what is one thing that when you see, it just takes you back to being a kid?
Oh, Transformers, especially Transformers stuff. Yeah, I just love Transformers.
Is there a certain Transformer, or is it just you love robots?
Dirge, the one of the Seekers. Yeah, I remember getting them at Christmas, and there's a video that my brothers made fun of me for years, where I'm just like Dirge, like in the camera. And they would always remind me of it later on. Hey, Dirge, yeah. But yeah, I love Transformers, man. I remember getting Ultra Magnus. One of my aunts got me Ultra Magnus. I got the gift set of Devastator. So yeah, I always, if I see a Transformers booth, I'm gonna hang out there for a little bit. Yeah.
Dirge. You sound like a guy who, like, in a movie, like the bad guy's name's Dirge, and he just like killed your family. Dirge.
Like Star Trek. What was I can't think of Khan.
I also thought of Bloodsport, where Jean-Claude Van Damme just goes, ah. I don't know why that popped in my head.
I probably looked like that day a little bit. I was so excited.
So we know that clearly Transformers is what got you where you are today, with the name of your shop and obviously Dirge. Do you own your grail, or are you still out hunting your grail?
Oh, I would be hunting my grail. It'd be a comic. And sorry to switch it. It'd be a comic. It'd be like
no, you're good.
It's the 35-cent variant of Star Wars #1. So they would do tests like comics. They would test markets like, hey, we're gonna raise the price a nickel. Well, we'll try it here. They didn't do it nationally. So it's a super rare variant of Star Wars #1. So if you see a 35 center, like, it's money.
Now I know this.
You're right. Yeah. So if you see, and that's my grail, I'm like, hey, Tony.
I just threw like 12 of them away.
Need some kindling.
That's funny. We mentioned the joke about throwing them away and stuff like that. I knew someone who used old WWF magazines for packing material.
What?
Like they'd rip out the pages and shove them in their like orders and stuff like that, so they didn't have to go buy packing paper and bubble wrap. I'm like, well, that's just
right.
Ripping up money.
Sold that and bought it, or
I'm like, you're just tearing up money at this point. So now everyone knows. Be on the hunt for a Star Wars #1 that costs 35 cents.
35 cents. If you see one, yep, that's the big one.
All right. Like I said before about nostalgia, I'm a big person of nostalgia. Thinking about stuff when I was a kid, I could see like certain toys, and it brings me back instantly. I can tell you the time, place I was, all that stuff. I can't really tell you the age, but I can tell you like where I was standing, like the color of the carpet, whatever. So the one thing about nostalgia that I always hold on to, and I always think it's funny, I always think it's a great conversation, is as a kid, say it's your birthday, Christmas, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What is like the one toy line that you hated more than anything? But
Hated?
your parents were like, oh, I heard Tony talk about this. So they buy it for you. And then you like open it or you get gifted to you and you're just like, I hate this stuff. Why would you buy me this?
Oh, that's a good question, Rick. I guess I don't know if I have one. I'd have to think. I'm a slow processor here. But what do I this is completely off track. Like I was always really hard to find shoes because I was like Andre the Giant or a Wookiee. I wear like size 14s in middle school. So any chance my parents got, they're like, oh my God, there's a pair of shoes. So I remember opening a pair of shoes at Christmas one year, and they were Nikes. They were nice shoes, but it was just like fluorescent. It looked like Miami Dolphins like shoes. Like we found
turquoise and orange and white.
Yeah. Or another one was we were always allowed to open a gift on Christmas Eve. We were allowed to open one thing, and I had a gigantic box, and I'm like, oh, I'm opening that. And my mom's like, you don't want to do that. I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm gonna open that. And she's like, okay, open it. And it was a coat, and I just burst into tears. Like, this is bullshit. Like, what? Come on, man. Like,
one gift I get to open is a coat.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. I can't think of a toy that I was, not happy to get. Yeah, if I think of it, I'll let you know.
For me, I've had, like, my sister, if she watches this, she'll laugh because she'll understand me 100%. Our parents would only half hear, like, anything we would say.
Okay.
So, and my grandparents literally did not listen to us at all. The one year for Christmas, go to my grandma's house. Like, she never bought us Ninja Turtles, Master Universe, any of that stuff. She bought me, I was so excited. I don't know why I got excited all the time. Opened up a magician's kit. And I just like, I was just like staring at it.
So the look on your face.
And just like,
still you're.
Yeah, still I can close my eyes. I can know I'm in the house with that puke green carpet that's like all matted down. Their Davenport. That's what they called their couch. And I'm just like, I pretty much looked at my mom and it was just like, we're returning this. I returned it to, it was Sears or JCPenney's. Returned it because I went and got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, she spent $50 on this Magic set when she could have just bought me the stupid Nintendo game I wanted.
I always think of magic when I think of you, Ray.
That's why I'm the world's worst magician. I made that thing disappear. That's for certain.
Like, what are you thinking, Grandma? Come on.
Okay. Well, one year she bought me a sweatshirt. Oh, I got you this. I'm like, it's not even my size. Because like you growing up, I was like, in 5th grade, I had a mustache.
No, right.
So like,
right.
I'm wearing like large shirts and she bought me like a small sweatshirt. And like, I go, I can't fit into this. She gave us the receipt. It was at, won't forget it was at Sears. Oh, I got it in the boys section. We go to the boys, girls, men's, and finally go to the women's section. That's what she bought it. Because Sears, you had to return it to the section.
Right, that you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I remember.
Yeah, so she gifted me a women's sweatshirt that was a small. So
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah,
Good times.
that's my childhood. So is there like certain, like I said about the so yeah, like I said, whenever I see magic sets, magician sets, that's what triggers in my head.
Right, I got
Is
you.
there any like toys that you associate with memories?
Oh yeah, like I remember being in
Besides
Hills.
Dirge.
Besides Dirge, I remember being in Hills when they put the Millennium Falcon on layaway for I don't know if it was for Christmas or what, but I remember that moment. I remember I forget what you called them in Neotech one time, but what did you call Spawn toys? Like they were
Gothic Beanie Babies.
Gothic Beanie Babies. I remember seeing Spawn toys for the first time because I was all around. I was in the comic shop when Image first hit. Todd McFarlane was one of my favorites. He created this new thing, Spawn, and then the toys came out. It was just like, oh my God, can't believe this.
Flooded the market.
Yo, man, he's good at that. He's really good at that.
He does this thing where a lot of people might not know this who are listening or just getting into toys and stuff like that. That's another thing I want to have us try to do through the course of this series is try to educate some people on some things. And Todd McFarlane, as you said, created Spawn. He did like Spider-Man comics. He did tons of stuff. He did awesome covers.
Helped create Venom.
Created Venom. His issue is that he put these figures out and pumped out so many variants of like characters nobody wanted. Like nobody.
You talking about the DC ones or the old
Spawn
stuff? Right? Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's that, I don't know, that woman with the ponytail,
right?
What, Angela?
And, yeah.
It's like, oh, we got 7 variants of Angela. Like no one wanted like the first 2 variants. Everyone wanted just regular Angela. We don't need like a clear Angela, a black and gold Angela, a black and green Angela, like bloodied Angela.
Had to make that mold money back
or
something.
And I'm just like, oh my God. So like Spawn just like, he killed his own market.
Oh, right.
By releasing so much stuff like that. And just like, that's kind of like what Star Trek did too, is they released so many variants and exclusives.
Power of the Force stuff seemed the same way.
Power of the Force stuff too. It's like, hey, let's flood the market with a bunch of
crazy
pig warmers.
And then that what you're talking about, Angela, there's a whole other court case behind that character too that he went to court with Neil Gaiman, and Neil Gaiman would just roast him about being a terrible writer and like it was. I
never knew that.
Yeah, there was a whole thing.
I'm even learning stuff here. So let me see what else we got here. Trigger go through my head. So we both do toy shows.
Yeah.
You do a lot of comic shows.
I do. Yeah. I go in between.
About how many? I know a lot of people, like there's some dudes and some shop owners that do like tons of shows a month.
Oh, right.
Like,
yeah.
Tons. And I'm like, I'm too old for that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, I like my goal now is like 1 a month. And I'm like, a couple weeks ago, I had to do like 3 in a row. I'm like, oh my God, I ain't gonna make this. Like my back. So we'll do this. We'll do what was probably one of your like worst show experiences. You don't have to name the show.
Okay.
You don't have to say where it's at.
Okay.
Just like what's one of your worst show experiences?
Worst show experiences? Probably when I first started out, I was just throwing, I didn't know what I was doing really with shows. I used to do sports cards and stuff, so I would do sports card shows once in a while. But one of the worst shows I did was probably within the last few years, where it's like, it was just mayhem. Like whoever ran the show wasn't paying attention to how people were setting up. So like, an aisle's usually like 6 to 10 feet wide at least. Yeah. At least. There was a guy leaving a walkway of maybe 3 feet because his booth came out into the aisle. I'm in the same aisle as him. I'm like, what is going on? This is a circus. And then it like, I'm not judging anyone, but there's times and places for things. That whole booth just reeked of marijuana too. It's just like, we're at a toy show. Like this isn't, you know what I mean? Like,
that's not the time or place.
Right. Yeah. So I was just like
beginning extremely high.
I was right. And just keep building your booth out. I don't know, like he just bigger, like, build it and they will come, like Close Encounters. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Or no, I'm sorry. Field of Dreams. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people don't know. That's the one thing with shows too. Like I tell people at Toyhio and stuff like that, like you can't encroach in other people's areas. I'm like, and you certainly cannot encroach in the aisleway because you have to let people get through.
Right.
If you want people to shop your booth,
They got to get through.
They have to be able to get down the aisle to get to your booth.
Yeah. Right. And that I did probably one of the worst shows I'd ever done, like financially too. Luckily, it wasn't too far away, but like it was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah. No. I had that whole, you said the smell of marijuana and stuff like that. I did a show last year that I'm not doing again. They allowed someone to sell dog treats that were made from like pigs.
What?
Like it was like actual, like they cut off like a pig ear.
Oh,
And we're like, so basically they had like animal carcass parts behind their booth, and it smelled so bad.
Man. And this is at a toy show?
Yes. And I'm just like, yeah, I ain't coming back to this. Like, everyone's like, it stinks over there. I go, yeah, look behind their table. I go, they have like pig heads and stuff. Like there's a bucket of ears. I'm like, yeah, I ain't coming back to this.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah.
Because like people, a lot of things also people don't know is there's comic shows, there's card shows, there's toy shows, then there's like Comic Cons.
Right.
And now there's like I will say there's a new wave of shows that people kind of call them Comic Cons, but I don't even know what the word you would call them now.
Like I usually
They're like, now people just use the word like Expo.
Oh, right. Okay.
So like you have like Fan Expo, and like there's San Diego Comic Con, which is not even about comics anymore.
Right, yeah. It's all media driven.
Yeah. And it's basically like, how do I want to describe it? Just like how do I say, like a celebrity free-for-all.
Oh, right,
but like,
yeah.
You're booking so many guests that you kind of take away from the actual vendors themselves.
Oh, right. No, absolutely.
So like, with that being said, what are some of the better shows you do that actually bring in like guests? You know what I mean? Because there's certain shows that people will bring in guests.
Is this what I'm supposed to say, Toy Hio? I'm kidding.
Oh, Toy Hio that returns October 12th.
Yes.
No, like there's certain shows that like I know like people do like gangbusters at that have like crazy guest lists, like New York Comic Con, for example.
Oh, right.
Like New York Comic Con, I cannot afford to set up a New York Comic Con.
Oh, no way. Yeah, I was actually talking to an artist that you've had at Toy Hio that said he's getting in, and he told me how his booth costs. He went as a vendor, not an artist, and it was like, I think it was over $5,000 or close to $5,000. Something
I
like
know
that.
someone who set up there. They actually just recently started their own like toy line.
Oh,
toy
okay.
Business a couple years ago.
Okay.
Now it's like taking off. It's everywhere. He paid $10,000.
Oh my god.
Got a booth, no joke, the size of this table, next to the bathroom.
I can't laugh.
And I think that was like the last time he returned there.
Oh wow.
Because I'm like, you're paying $10,000 for that? No, thank you.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
I mean, mind you, I understand like New York Comic Con has like,
Oh right.
They're
200,000 people or
like
whatever.
last year, Toy Hio went up against New York Comic Con.
Oh, in October, didn't? That's right. It
Yeah.
did. That's right.
I checked last night. It's not this year. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but they pull like crazy amount of people.
Oh yeah, man.
And like you can't even like walk through that building, and it's like what, 3 days? Something like that?
Something like 4. I think it starts on a Thursday, kind of.
Okay, and like that show, I know they bring in tons of guests, and I know the people have to make gangbusters money.
Oh yeah.
So like that's like going back to my thing of what shows do you know that you do that bring in like a lot of guests that you do crazy good at?
Okay. Crazy good.
Or not crazy good, but you can say good, like
Good. I do well at Steel City, enough to keep me there, and I think it's because I'm right next to the bathroom. I'm in a high traffic area, and I'm right next to the concession stand, and where the way they've done the traffic flow there, it's like everyone needs to go into celebrity room. Is like I'm right next to the entrance, so I
Yeah.
think that I just fell into that. Like,
yeah, because I know
literally fell into it.
I remember your booth specifically because you are located. Everyone, if you're listening and you go to Steel City Con, you can find Tony's booth. If you walk through the main doors, you walk all the way to the back of the vendor room, not the artist alley thing, the vendor room. He's back along the back wall. You're really located, like you said, right next to the bathroom, and pretty much almost right by the entrance that leads you into The guest room.
Yes. Yep. I'm like right there. And I think now I'm almost positive they may have changed it, but for a little while, that was the only way to get back there.
Yeah.
Because they'd shut down the other way to get back there for photos. So yeah, like you said, if you go right in and I'm right to the left, like right next to where they serve drinks and food and stuff. I'm like right there.
Yeah, because that's the only place to get food is that concession stand.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you leave. And good luck leaving because you are never getting your parking spot back.
No, you're not. No.
Ever.
No. That parking, yeah. They're always, and you always hear them make announcements too. Hey, if you're parked here, we're about to tow your car. Yeah. Yeah, parking is a big. Well, a lot of shows, parking's a big deal. It's hard to find, a good venue.
No, that's a good point you bring up too. Is like parking. Parking for any show pretty much is just a nightmare.
No, right? Yeah. Like I even saw Bobby and them. They've got trams now. They got a new tram service.
Yeah. So Toy Palooza is November, I believe.
November 10th.
And they just announced they're gonna have a tram service bringing people over from like Home Depot because people always like to say stuff to us like about parking and stuff like that. We have no control over like there's only so much parking.
Right.
I mean, there's certain times you can come during the day.
You want to be centrally located,
Yeah, and want easy access, stuff like that. So there's not a whole lot of places that serve like parking, and then some places you can't even hold your show there because of non-compete clauses and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
So like I know like I don't think David L. Lawrence Convention Center has a no compete clause, but you got to pay to park there.
See, I've never been.
I'm only saying things I've heard.
Oh, okay.
I think you got to pay like $20-$30 a park, something like that.
Oh man, yeah,
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like that's like Columbus Convention Center. Columbus Convention Center downtown Columbus is huge.
It is. I was just down there a few weeks ago with my wife. Yeah.
But you got to pay to park across the street. It's like $15 or $20 a day.
Oh, God.
So you got to pay that, and then you got to pay to get into the show.
Right.
So that's why when I personally, when people say something to us like, "Oh, Toy Ohio, like parking, it's too like there's too many people there," I go, "If we go anywhere else, you got to pay to park."
Right.
So
yeah.
I tell people like, come around 1, 2 o'clock, like,
well, that's
crowd will thin out. You'll find a space. And that's what you have to do for a lot of these shows anymore.
Just time it.
It's all about timing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like you're not gonna miss the good stuff, like at some of these shows.
Oh no,
because a lot of vendors bring stuff and just restock throughout the day.
I do that. I always
there's people who are still finding stuff at like 3 o'clock at Toy Ohio, and I'm just like, where the world did you find that? They're like, oh, it was laying around on top of that $5 bin.
Right.
I'm like, you have to be kidding me. I'm like, I walked past that bin 50 times today.
And I think that's a myth too. Like, just be, you can find good stuff anytime. You know what I mean? Yeah, you just gotta look. Yeah, I think it's awesome that the guys at Toy Palooza do the tram service. There's another show I'm going to be doing, NEO Con. It's in North Olmsted. It's a heavy Comic Con. There's will be some toys. Neotech will be there, but they've got to run a tram too. I mean, because it's just there's only so much, and it's right off the highway, which is super nice too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a balance.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people don't give these shows the credit they deserve.
No.
These sort of things, like people don't understand.
There's a lot that goes on.
There's a lot that goes into this stuff. Like, because you put on what Great
Lakes Geek Fest.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Great Lakes Geek Fest. And like people don't understand, like it takes a lot to go into a show. It takes patience that are normally just completely, utterly shot.
Right.
Coming from me personally.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Great Lakes Geek Fest.
Okay.
So how long have you been doing that?
Well, we've been doing it 3 years. I don't know if it's making a comeback this year. I think we're taking a year off to try and figure some things out.
I got you.
But yeah, it is super stressful. We had last year the first time we brought guests in, and then that's a whole other thing that I was not familiar with that I learned a lot about. A little bit the hard way. We ended up. What was nice about our situation is that the venue, since we're out in the middle of BFE. The venue is this like high-end like training facility for like Olympic athletes and Paralympic athletes. So they just want people to come to the facility and check it out. So they were willing to split all the costs with us.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was with a group of guys. So we split our half 3 ways. So we took a loss. Overall, it was a big loss, but split up, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
But if I had to shoulder that all myself, Forget it. Yeah. Yeah.
He'd be advertising a going out of business sale right now.
Right. Yeah. 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 So we definitely have to retool some things and rethink some things. But I think Great Lakes Geek Fest ultimately will be back, in some shape or form. Yeah.
I got you. Well, that's good to hear. And
Yeah.
like I said, people don't understand, like you just said, like sometimes you take a loss on guests.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't take a loss on guests. Sometimes the guests make you money. Sometimes you break even. You never know. Like last week with BJ, I talked about how I took a loss with a certain guest because he canceled the day before to Ohio and never repaid me any of the money.
I heard that. I was just like, wow.
He can text me. He has my number.
Right.
I would said, hey, how are you going to pay me? He's like, oh, PayPal. I'm like, all right, cool.
Right. Yeah. Nothing.
Nothing. Not a peep.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you.
No, at one point in time, I actually was going to make a sign when I went to AEW and said, hey, you owe me money.
Oh man.
But whatever. It is what it is.
It is. Yeah.
I mean,
it's just all part of the business.
It's all part of the business. It can be way worse. Like there's the people you expect to be scumbags. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
And then like there's certain people that like I know personally like not to book because of their the words you hear around town about them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like,
Track record.
they no
right.
show. Yeah, exactly. Track record. They no show. They don't do this or they'll cancel last minute, all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
When you put on a show, it's one of those things that you just have to, you basically have to you have to deal with it.
Oh, no. Right. Yeah.
And
yeah. Everything's happening right now.
Yeah. It's you have no choice. You have nothing to go from it.
So be kind to your show promoters.
Yes. Be kind.
They're going through a lot that day.
Yeah. Like I had a guy complain at this last Ohio. He complained to Matt Cardona and Brody King while I was standing there.
I hate it when people don't complain to the right people. It's like,
and
what are Matt Cardona and Brody King going to do?
And they go, hey, how about you tell that show promoter that...
You mean the guy that just made me a bunch of money?
You go, why don't you tell that show promoter that he shouldn't put all the guests in the same line because it takes too long. And I just go... I'm standing there, Cardona and Brody King just stop and turn their heads and stare at me. I go, when you have so many guests, I said a lot of people want to meet all the same guests, so that's why we moved you down the line. Stuff like that, so you can get everyone. If you don't want to meet them, you don't have to.
Right, you just pass by.
I said, just pass by. I go, it's the easiest way to do it. And I said, but if you don't like it, there's the door.
Right.
And Cardona just started laughing, and Brody King started laughing. And Brody King's like, I want to come back. I'm like, that's the thing. Like, well, you only have so much space.
Right.
Like, I mean, was I expecting 14 people? No. Was I expecting like 14 guests? No, not at all. It's like AEW contacted me about coming in town, stuff like that. I just try to make things work the best way I possibly could.
Right, yeah.
And you're complaining. Like, why are you complaining to the guests?
That's it. Like, right. That's like going to a Facebook group. Like, I administrate one. I put our city's name on Geneva, Ohio group. It's just a community group, whatever. Man, at Wendy's, my food came out cold. Like, why are you here talking about Wendy's right now?
Go to Wendy's.
Right. Go to Wendy's. Right. Yeah.
Like, I try to take everyone's like criticism and stuff like that with like a grain of salt. But like when you're
you gotta
running on like 3 hours of sleep, trying to wonder where 14 guests are,
right.
Worrying about 2,000 plus people, and then you have this guy who goes, I don't like waiting in line. And you're just like,
well, get in line for complaints.
Yeah, that's the other thing too I like to bring up is whenever I do a show like that aren't mine,
yeah,
the people come complain to me about it. I go, this ain't my show. Like, you're next to me at Toy Palooza,
yeah,
which me and Tony do Toy Palooza all the time. Love Toy Palooza.
Love it. Yeah,
Bobby
it's
and
a great show.
Bobby, Matt, and their crew, D&E are awesome dudes. Like some of my best friends in the business. And the amount of people who come up to my table at their show, oh, I couldn't find a parking space. I'm like, go talk to them. They are right next to me.
Right.
They're on the other side of me.
Yeah.
And Bobby just laughs. I'm just like, I'm not there's no sign at my booth that says complaint department.
Right.
But it's like whatever show I do, people bring me the complaints. I'm like, no.
No, right.
No. I go, if it's Toy Hio, you talk to me about Toy Hio. I don't want to hear about complaints about anyone else's show.
Right, yeah.
Like, you have complaints about this, go take it up with them.
Right, yeah.
Like,
I'm the wrong person.
I'm the wrong person.
Right, yeah.
Like, I don't like, I'm not like the toy godfather. Right. I don't run this thing.
Right.
Like, I do certain things, like they do their own thing.
Right. Everyone has a way to do it.
And that's another thing too, is which actually a little light bulb went off in my head. Every show has their own identity.
I was right. I had that thought in my head. Just yep.
And so basically, like Toy Hio's identity, obviously, wrestling.
Oh man, yeah.
It's a big wrestling thing, and mainly because it was from Tom. Tom wanted to do it. I'm keeping Tom's name alive by doing it.
That's awesome.
And stuff like that. So like Great Lakes, for your show, what would you say do you feel it has found its identity, or are you still trying to find its identity?
I think we're still trying to find our identity. I want to say, at least in a general sense, our identity is, what do you geek out on? We want to celebrate, like, what do you get into, and we'll try. We're pop culture. We don't focus on we try to do a little bit of everything, a little bit of comics, a little bit of toys, makers, guys that make nerdy stuff, video games. So we try to bring everything together under one roof, and that's kind of hard to do. So that's why I said we're still trying to find ourselves a little bit. So, but mainly, like, what do you geek out on? We try to do that. So, and we bring a little bit of ourselves to it. So my friend, I do with two friends. They're both store owners. John Smith owns the Ashebula buy-sell trade. He's a vendor now at the show.
Yeah, he's a vendor now at Toy Hio.
Yeah.
And they have a shop in,
what used to be the Ashebula Mall. It's kind of an abandoned mall, but they've got the biggest, nicest store in the place.
Oh, my God, yeah. I've been there a couple times. They have so many DVDs.
So many
games.
Yes.
Their game section is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
They have so many. So if you have not been there, I suggest you go do so. They're super nice guys. Their store is freaking huge.
It is. It's huge, and they're knowledgeable. They'll direct you in the right ways.
And every now and again, they do get some really good vintage in there.
They do.
And then they also always get in wrestling.
They do. Yeah. Yep.
So,
they always have wrestling. Always have wrestling.
Yeah. I know they're big wrestling guys.
Oh yeah. They're all going to SummerSlam. They're going to be there. Yeah. They're huge wrestling guys. John's one of the reasons why I would get back into wrestling. I had someone to talk to about it.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So he partners with you. Both of them partner with you?
Yeah,
then?
they both. So
Okay.
well, just John from he's co-owner of that store, and then Chris Panzone owns In the Zone Gaming. So he just does all games, Magic, Lorcana, Pokemon, then D&D, all that kind of stuff. So he brought that to it. So long story short, we didn't buy the show, but there was a show going on in our county called Northeast Geek Expo. Those guys kind of broke up and the show never came back. So we were like, the community is there for it. People want to come out to this. So we kind of did our own thing. And, like I said, we were still trying to find ourselves a little bit. So 2025, hopefully we'll be back again. Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys do.
Yeah.
Because, I like to see good people succeed and good people in the business, which is so hard to find anymore.
Same here. Yeah.
And you hear a lot of horror stories about certain shops and stuff like that. And it's just sad to hear because I always try to be honest and stuff like that.
Yes.
That's just how it is. And, because you don't want to get a bad reputation.
No.
Because reputation for your shop is like everything.
Right. How long have you been open? I'm sorry. I'm interviewing you now.
That's fine. I'm used to being interviewed and not being the interviewee. But you were in Gerard for 5 years. It's going to be 2 years in Niles, so 7 years.
Okay. I was going to say right after I opened, I remember. Yeah. You and Adam opened.
Yeah. I think I opened shortly after Adam.
Yeah.
And this is before I even knew Adam.
Right. But you wouldn't be there that long if you had a bad reputation. And I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand,
it's not the stuff you have.
It's not the stuff you have. It's the way you, for example, yesterday, which we talked about this beforehand, and I brought it with me to talk about because we kind of talked about it last week. So I kind of wanted to, I brought it to show that we call it figure fate.
Okay. Okay.
So when I go through stuff with people, and a lot of shop owners may or may not do this. A lot of the shop owners I deal with, they do. And like, I go help a bunch of shop owners all the time. They message me, I message them. We're all like,
no, right. It's a little network.
It's a little network.
Right.
We all want each other to succeed.
Yeah.
We all want to help each other. So when I go through stuff, I go like, oh, hey, you have this. Like,
oh, right. Yeah.
Well, like yesterday, dude just showed up. He drove an hour to our shop.
Who did?
This guy.
Oh, okay.
Drove an hour to our shop and goes, hey, I have some wrestling I want to sell you. I was like,
wow.
okay. He goes, it's a lot of Jack stuff. And then it's a lot of classic superstars, Hasbros, stuff like that. I was like, okay. He goes, this is my car. What do you want me to do with it? You can just bring it in. He opens up his car. The stuff's like falling out.
Oh, my
and I'm
God.
like, Jesus God, you fit that much stuff in your car? The boxes wouldn't even close. There was so much. And he's like, all that stuff in. I'm like, oh my God.
It's overwhelming when people do that. Yeah.
Like, you don't get a phone call or anything about this. And then all of a sudden you're just like,
right.
There's a van load in my
Real quick interjection. When someone does that, do they just like, while you're looking through it, do they just stand over you? Like,
sometimes
it's just like, give me some room and some time. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, we'll go back to that. Remind me to go back to that because we can share some stories on that stuff, which one just happened. So he goes, oh yeah, I got some stuff and I got some Hasbros. They're my Hasbros from when I was a kid. I'm going through. I'm like, okay. So I'm like going through trying to pull out like classic superstars and stuff like that, see what he has, make piles of what's what. And he reaches into this tote, pulls out this.
Oh, what? And that looks a nice shape for being in a jam-packed vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in a tote. He kept it.
Wow.
He kept it.
You were just talking about in the last episode.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
It came in yesterday in a Ziploc bag.
At least he had it in the Ziploc bag.
I was like, was that yours from when you were a kid? I go, did you just not like 1, 2, 3 kid or what?
Yeah, was that the one he opened? Like, what?
He goes, no. He goes, I bought it a couple years ago. I was like, oh, okay. Well, wow. I go, well, you know what they're worth now, right? He goes, yeah. I go, what do you want for it? He goes, I just want to see what kind of offer I can get. And so I'm going through like literally everything with him, saying like, okay, well, I'm like, well, did you loot with Borga, missing fingers, stuff like that? All the stuff from doing all this time, like
right, what to look for.
I know wrestling figures.
Yes, yeah.
I know like Turtles, Masters Universe. That's like my repertoire.
I got you.
And I go, what do you want? I don't know. I go, let me ask you, what did you pay for it? And he goes, I bought it a couple years ago. And I go, okay, well, what'd you pay for it? He goes, $75.
What? A couple years ago, $75?
I'm like, a couple years ago. You're talking probably like a decade ago, if not longer. Right, I go, well, you're getting more than $75 today, buddy.
Right, yeah. I was going to say, a couple years ago, it was COVID and everything was nuts. Well, that's 4 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, like that figure loose 4 years ago was $1,000.
Right, yeah.
And now it's dropped back down to like $500. But that's like one of those figures, like I said in the last episode, it fluctuates so bad. It's like that figure's like the stock market. It's just all over the place. You got to buy it at the right time and sell at the right time.
Right.
So, like, I mean, the carded ones aren't going down.
Oh, they're staying where they are?
They're pretty much staying where they're at right now. Like, it's just sometimes they'll go up a little bit. Sure. They'll drop.
Depending on what sale happened here.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
But go back to what you said. Do you have any I love horror stories. Because I think they make me laugh. And you mentioned, people, you're trying to go over people's stuff and they're hovering.
Right. That's, I just like, it's just something I can't do it. Like, I try to explain, like, look, this is going to take me, a few minutes just to go through everything. They're like, okay. And then they just stand there like, I don't know. It doesn't make me nervous. It's just hard to like, because I feel like they're examining every move, like, and then they're with somebody. So they're whispering, like, it's like, I'm just looking through stuff, and I will call it out like you did with what was it? Six Pack is that what it was? Six Pack or I forget.
1, 2, 3 Kid.
1, 2, 3 Kid. I'm sorry.
Six Pack was his name in WCW.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you apologize to Sean Waltman.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I can't do it when they're standing over you. It's like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, like, oh my God, if I find something like that, I will point it out like, oh, this is a good one. Or if I don't find anything and you say, well, I got a lot more. Well, I'll say, well, look for this, this, or this, if you have this or that, let me know, I'm not afraid to spend money, like,
well, that's the thing too, is if you're watching, you have stuff you want to sell, like shop owners like us are not afraid to spend money.
No, yeah.
That's our whole thing. We want to spend money.
Right.
Like
yes.
we clearly don't like money. We like toys. So like the more toys I buy, the happier I am. Like this month, July has been probably the craziest buying month for us ever.
Really?
We bought in like carton vintage Star Wars. I'm talking like Han Carbonite and
wow.
Like,
nice.
Just walked in the nastiest, oldest box you've ever seen.
Nice, man.
Then like that dude with the Hasbros, like 2 van loads of like modern Star Wars. What else did we get? Oh, we just got a lot of 10-back turtles that walked in.
Wow.
Mail card. And it's like this month's just been insane.
It sounds like it. Yeah. I just feel like
I'm afraid of when it stops.
No, right.
Like because the thing is, people always want to complain about, oh, I go out and find this and this. I can't find this. I can't find this. It's like, no, that's what drives us is the hunt.
Oh man. Yeah.
The stuff is out there. You just have to find it.
Right. And that all started from when we were collecting when we were younger, like searching the things out that we wanted. Like, maybe I'll find it today, like before eBay had gotten huge,
Yeah, like you don't know. Like I said, what was it, 4th of July weekend at Rogers?
Right, the flea markets, yeah.
My son there was a shop owner, a guy who helps a shop owner, and then a collector standing in front of this tote. I walked on the other side of the table. My son walked up right in front of them, reached down into this tote, pulled out 3 food fighters, and goes, "Hey, Dad, you want these food fighters?" And he's 8 in front of 3 other toy people.
Now, are those still pretty valuable, food fighters?
Yeah, they're like...
Because when you were talking about them last week, I remember having them. And I think my brother has them in his basement now. They were awesome. I just got, like I said, I got that. My buddy Chad got the... I bought my Sergeant Short Stacks from him. So now I just need there's the 2 variants I think I need, and they're still sought after. The weapons get confused with G.I. Joe weapons. Oh, okay.
Because they're
same kind of scale. Basically.
Same. The backpacks almost look identical.
Oh wow.
And so the guns, but yeah, I mean they're very sought after. I love them. I just love dumb toy lines like that.
Oh yeah, they were fun.
Like off the top of your head, is there like a dumb toy line that you were as a kid that you absolutely loved?
I remember the name, and hopefully you could help me. There were vehicles that you could just take pieces and parts out of and just create all different kinds of cool vehicles out of them. They had guns, wheels.
Was it Jason the Wheeled Warriors?
It could have been, yeah.
They were gold, and they had like green, like vine looking things.
Yes, yep, yeah.
Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
Okay, yeah, they were just cool. Just pull this off, put that on.
That is a line that is crazy obscure, and you cannot find finding them complete is like impossible because there's always missing pieces because every kid tore off the wheels to put on something else, and that's like how it is.
Yeah,
like. I just, growing up, I was one of those kids that loved the weird stuff because I'm just a weird person.
Same here. That's whatever catches my eye. I don't have a focus necessarily when it comes to collecting toys, but if it's something I like and it's weird or I don't know, I'll pick it up.
Like I said last week, and once again, we mentioned food fighters, germs.
Germs. Well, I don't remember germs.
They're made by, I forget the name of the company. But they didn't do a whole lot of toys. And they did this whole line called Germs, and they all had crazy scientific names.
Oh wow!
Then in parentheses, it would say stinky feet.
Oh, what the real condition is. Oh, that's awesome.
And they were so cartoony, and they came in test tubes and on card backs.
Oh man,
I'm missing one, and of course I could never remember which one I'm missing.
Okay,
because they're all goofy looking. I only had one as a kid. I had the purple one that had long legs and suction cup feet.
Yeah,
but yeah, they all came in test tubes.
That's cool.
And they were so stupid, and I loved them, and I got one.
Yeah.
Loved it. And never got any more because they were gone off store shelves.
I think that's something that's missing from toys where you can play with it, it's fun, and then you learn something too,
Yeah, it's one of those things that
that's awesome.
The weird toys helped you have an imagination.
Oh man, big time.
Weird toys now don't do that.
No,
because it's
they're all usually a property of some kind.
Yeah, or it's a fart gun.
No, right. Something super right. Yeah.
It's here's this. My kid's gotten super into these new things. They're mini things. I don't even know what the world they are. There's a laptop and it has poop on it.
Like an emoji or something.
No, it's like a poop with like toilet paper sticking out of it, and they're like obsessed with them. I'm like, how's this a toy? It doesn't move or anything.
Right? Did your mom or dad ask you that about the germs? Like, what is that? Like?
Oh, all the time. It was just like, what is this? You want this garbage? All the time. And like, those are the things. Obviously, now are worth like money.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because no one bought them.
Right.
Like the bootleg Masters Universe figures, all that stuff.
Yeah.
If there's, we'll end it with this question, which
Okay.
I think is pretty, it just popped in my head. If you were to bring back any toy line from your childhood, like as we know right now in stores, they're just feeding off nostalgia. So they're going like TMNT heavy, Masters Universe, Star Wars. That's what they keep pumping out because they're geared. They did a report saying like adults are what's keeping toys going.
I saw that. Right. Yeah, I saw that.
So what toy line would you, as an adult, say, you know what? I want to put money into this and bring this back.
The Wheeled Warriors. I mean,
Warriors.
Oh yeah, because it was just fun because you could create whatever you wanted. You know what I mean? They gave you the basic what you needed, but like I'll take this off, and customize whatever I want. So
that's a good answer.
I'd say I'd bring those back. That's one of the things that sticks in my head to this day. You know, those toys, just in our basement playing with toys, or we do something stupid like let's turn off all the lights and run around and smash our faces in a wall because we can't see anything.
That was your parents were like, that's the cheapest toy of all. Right. We're saving electricity.
Right.
And we don't have to buy anything. Maybe some bandages for the broken nose.
Yeah. That's about
Tony running into the light switch. But I want to thank you, Tony.
Oh, thank you
for coming on. Give your spiel about your shop one more time.
Sure. Robot Zero Comics in beautiful scenic downtown Geneva, Ohio. We're at 23 West Main Street. You can find us on Instagram at Robot Zero, spell it all out, ZERO, and then with an underscore. We're on Facebook. Find us anywhere online and get a hold of us. We love comics.
All right. Well, Tony, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Once again, this was the When We Were Kids, a Time Capsule Toys podcast. You can always stop in at Time Capsule Toys located in Niles, Ohio. It is not scenic. But also don't forget that Toy How returns October 12th. Tony will be there.
We'll be there.
Over 20,000 square feet of toys.
It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be a good time.
Wardlow
is going to be there. Some other people I have to still announce that I can't say anything yet.
Cool.
So, but thank you all for tuning in, checking us out, and we'll be right back here again next week. Thanks again.